All right, at this point, I'm sure all of you guys know what a lolcow is. I don't need to pull up a definition right now on Encyclopedia Dramatica or whatever, but they're basically just someone that people on the internet like to talk about and quote-unquote milk for content, right? Someone who people enjoy to troll, and, you know, these days the term lolcow has kind of been used a lot of the time for people who used to be e-celebrities or are currently e-celebrities but are kind of like falling off. And there's a ton of people like that, and, you know, obviously you guys know about that given the fact that you watch my videos. And I spend a decent amount of time talking about people who have fallen off. People like SunnyV2 do this as well. There's kind of a whole culture on the internet these days of watching people fall off, and some of the people that are integral to lolcow culture, apart from Christian obviously being the most notorious, are YouTubers actually. And one of them would be Boogie2988, one of them would be Wings of Redemption, and one of them would be Dark Side Phil. Now I believe Wings and Dark Side Phil both received Down the Rabbit Hole episodes. As far as I know, Boogie never did, but regardless, they're three people who used to have somewhat flourishing internet careers, and since then have, you know, they've had their ups and downs, but they also have a loyal community of hate watchers who like to troll them, who like to clip them, who like to post embarrassing stuff about them. And as a result, there's a ton of documentaries on YouTube about people like Dark Side Phil, about people like Wings of Redemption, and about people like Boogie2988 for their strange actions, their strange mannerisms, for their personal failures. People really just enjoy watching these people spiral downwards in life. And obviously, you know, I'm somewhat complicit in that as someone who makes videos about these people. Well, for a while, there's been an idea about content with these lolcows. And I don't mean content just making fun of them, I mean content involving them. And one of those ideas for a long time was the Lolcow Podcast. Now, Keemstar's been floating this around, I want to say for like a few months, maybe even a year at this point. I've heard people mention it on live stream and stuff like that, where they're like, what would happen if there was a podcast and it was with Boogie2988, Wings of Redemption, and Dark Side Phil? These are the three lolcows you pick to be on the show. And these people are going to argue with each other. They're going to have conversations, and every week they're going to tune in. I feel like it would be a great business opportunity, realistically speaking, if you have Keemstar backing it up, if you have him financially backing it. And then you have Boogie, someone who is basically a pathological liar and can't keep his story straight. Wings, someone who does lie as well, but is more like self-pitying, I'd say, than Boogie. Although they're both very self-pitying, actually. I might have to take that back. They're both very, very fucking self-pitying. And then someone like DSP, who just takes no personal responsibility for his own actions, is a eternal coper in every regard. Also thinks he's good at video games when he's obviously not. And I think that all these three people being on a podcast would be amazing. It would be an amazing proposition. And we recently actually got an announcement from this Twitter account called Lolcow Podcast. Here you can see Keem tweeting, follow at Lolcow Podcast. Here we have the podcast Twitter account, and we can see it looks like it's actually happening. Now, there is one kind of contingency here, and that exception is that Dark Side Phil was kicked off the Lolcow Podcast for not responding to emails. Wings and Boogie, I guess, needed a third host at that point. They suggested Tommy C. Shot from the Point. I believe that Tommy actually ended up taking that opportunity, and they will be doing that podcast in not too long. If you go to the Lolcow Podcast Twitter account, right here we have some art being made. I guess this is supposed to be Tommy, and here we have two cows. Now, I'm not sure if this is like AI generated art or something, or if someone actually drew this. I almost feel like it is AI generated, but I'm personally excited to see this go down. I'm personally excited to see these people have a little bit of a conversation, a little bit of a debate, and just talk about their lives in a more candid way. I think that this kind of podcast would bring pleasure both to hate watchers and to genuine fans of them who want to see them succeed and just check in on their stuff every week. And I think overall, one of the biggest problems these guys have had is that they have problems making connections with other people. But if this podcast takes off, it can get them bigger and bigger opportunities, and, you know, maybe it'll turn into a big happy family. Or maybe, considering these people are called lolcows for a reason, it will devolve into arguments and people not showing up and people complaining, and it will just completely fall off. And, you know, that very well could be the case. I'm rooting for that to not happen, obviously. I feel like the reason a lot of this started going down, part of the reason Keemstar wanted to get this together is because he's wanted to do content with these lolcow type people for a long time. It's been quite a while. For example, we have this one stream right here. This is called Wings of Redemption Full Interview with Keemstar. Keemstar talked to him, and he floated around the idea of going to Wings' house and shooting a documentary with him.
I'll come there.
I told you, Ford Raptor.
I'll stay in your town for 1 week. We'll film every single day behind the scenes. Wings of Redemption.
Wait, what's the deal? What's
like
the deal?
my life is boring, dog. Like
so basically, Wings of Redemption is saying he wants a Ford Raptor. Which, by the way, if you guys know what a Ford Raptor is, this is not a cheap vehicle. Okay, a Ford Raptor, for those of you who don't know, is like a very big, expensive truck. Here we have the USD MSRP on one of these is $78,570 for the base Raptor, and if you want to get the Raptor R, which is the faster version, it's $110,000. Okay, like this is not a cheap vehicle. He may as well be asking for a fucking Porsche. This is the Porsche of trucks. So Wings of Redemption is saying that the only way he'll do this like in-person documentary is if Keemstar buys him this car, which is absolutely insane because it's an insanely expensive vehicle. This is not a cheap vehicle. This is a premium tier thing. This is worth more money than Wings has made in the past like 5 years combined.
Literally, my life is boring as fuck.
What was the deal to do the documentary, Wings?
He wants a Ford Raptor.
Buy him one, Keem.
It's $100,000. No.
You
can do it. Go for it, dude.
I can get you one right now for $72,000.
Wings, I'm not getting you a Ford Raptor. I'll tell you that much.
I tried, Wings. I tried.
I know.
But
and obviously that's a ridiculous proposition because there's no way that documentary would make back even close to $70,000. You know, and even for it to make that much money, it would have to get like 10 million views, right?
If we make a good piece of content, I'm obviously going to try to make as much money as I can on it, and I probably will make somewhere around $20,000 at least. You know, and I told you I would give you 10% of the royalties that come in, but I just need full creative. $2,000. But hey, look, at the end of the day, is
$2,000 like a bad deal for this guy? This guy's fucking broke. He lives in a fucking trailer park. Okay, this should not be something he's complaining about. But regardless of that, it seems Keemstar did kind of manage to get what he wanted in the end because he organized a fight. He organized a boxing match between Wings of Redemption and Boogie 2988. And when it happened, I was live streaming and I reacted to it live on my channel. It was, you know, pretty entertaining, I think. But Keem managed to do this little mini documentary where he filmed with Wings, he filmed with Boogie, and he basically just talked about the idea of getting this fight together and how insane it was. And I mean, this is a pretty great video, all things considered. I mean, this is totally out of character for Keemstar, but it's a pretty fire video, you know, for the Drama Alert channel. Like, I don't think he's ever put out something with this much production value.
Redemption.
I wanted it so fucking bad. I just can't do it. I can't do this shit no more, man.
Raging and freaking out because he lost in a video game.
Done with this shit, son. I'm so done with this shit. Fucking hate Call of Duty so fucking bad.
Wings has been stuck in the last decade of a horrible loop of bullying and harassment. Wings and Boogie have a lot in common.
And so he actually went to their hometowns personally to film with them to see what their training was like.
Comes a super hard one, all right? It's gonna be tough.
This is Overflow, I believe, who is like a classic OG member of the COD community.
Jaw, chin down. There it comes, all right? 1, 2.
Why are you doing this fight? Why did you agree to it?
You want the honest answer?
Yeah.
The honest answer is savings. Like I want, my savings is not where I want it to be, and I want more money to put into savings. Like I don't want to get into the strategy of it.
Don't tell us your strategy. Just, what, round 1, round 2, KO, TKO, you toss him out of the ring. How you feeling?
It's going to be a knockout. It's either going to be a TKO or a knockout. It all depends.
So he thought it was going to be a knockout. Well, after that, the fight ended up happening eventually on a Misfits into Zone card, and it was a pretty entertaining fight. I mean, it was pretty short lived. You saw Wings come out here rapping. He's wearing I believe this is a McJuggerNugget shirt. He had a pretty entertaining walkout, so he gets in the ring. Boogie comes out. I mean, he looks pretty nervous. He looks gassed already. He looks like he's going to have a hard time. At one point, they need to pull Boogie's pants up because his pants fall down. He needs a little diaper change real quick. In the end, Wings ends up winning the fight, if that was a surprise to anyone.
Seeing a full moon on a Boogie night. Yeah. And it looks like they're taping a full moon.
Here you can see them. Yes. They're getting in so they can pull up his shorts.
Grateful for that. He's smart.
And there we go. As you know, in boxing, those rounds last forever. It's like an eternity. And especially
And Boogie's really not putting up a fight. I think Wings is slightly taller. I think he's, a few years younger than Boogie. And he clearly just has more energy behind him, okay?
More of the pressure. He's been taking so many shots that round. Will he be able to come into this round and action?
That was brutal.
He took it, and he stood strong. And, you know,
33 seconds of round number 2. Referee Seamus Dunn stops the contest, and therefore your winner, Wings of Redemption.
And so in a lot of people's eyes, Wings kind of redeemed himself a little bit here by finally getting a victory after a long kind of losing streak in life. And now this seems like another kind of victory that he's going to get here because he gets to go on this podcast, which is presumably going to have at least a few thousand eyes on it, maybe 10 to 20,000 in the beginning, max, and it'll eventually pick up. Here Keemstar says, watching the pilot of @Lolcow Podcast, Boogie just canceled himself. I mean, is there anything else you guys could ask for, okay? 2 neckbeards and 1 less neckbeard guy on a podcast talking, okay? Tommy's kind of going to be the mediator, I assume. He's going to be kind of, you know, try to be a voice of reason, call them out on their bullshit. Although Tommy has his own funny tendencies as well, but he's nowhere near the status of someone like Boogie 2988 or Wings of Redemption in terms of like Lolcow material. He's not even close. But I think this is going to be a great show. I'm excited for it. There also was some drama with DSP where DSP ended up responding to being kicked off the Lolcow podcast. He was kicked off like months ago. But here we have someone saying Phil in his safe space calls Keem an idiot. Phil during the interview pretty much kissing the man's ass.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. Snort, Hogan.
Shout out to Snort Hogan.
Okay, I'm back. Keem is playing 5D chess with Phil. Keem, I have no involvement whatsoever. It sounds to me like Keem is playing with himself. If Keem is talking to me, or talking about me, he's literally playing with himself. I have no idea what he's speaking of. I have not spoken with Keem about being on any podcast ever, nor will I. There is no Lolcow cast, period. So, I have no idea what you guys are speaking of. I have no involvement in it whatsoever. Like I said, the involvement I have is that, you know, there's been a couple quick conversations behind the scenes about, you know, doing a podcast with me, Wings, and Boogie, and that it would kind of be a 33 thing, and we want to do it, but we have literally not sat down and had a conversation about it yet. The conversation is supposed to happen when they get done with their fight, and then we're going to talk about it, all right? So, whatever he's talking about is unbeknownst to me. I know nothing about it. So there you go.
And according to Keemstar, he was kicked for not responding to emails. So I guess he's off the podcast, which is too bad because I feel like he would have been a good addition. Someone who's a little bit more conceited and thinks of himself a little more highly than these guys. But, you know, maybe he'll join on later on for some kind of a guest spot. Now, Tommy C did tweet at me hoping, or I guess asking if I would go on the show. And I said I would definitely do it. At least I think I did. But I would definitely be down to do a guest spot on this podcast because I think it would be really funny to talk to Boogie, to talk to Wings. Obviously, I've talked to Boogie before. I've talked to Tommy. I've never had a conversation with Wings in my life. I think it would be a good discussion. I don't hold a ton of hatred for these guys. I find them more fascinating than anything. Boogie, I do have a lot to criticize, and obviously Wings as well. But, you know, I'm not going to go on there and try to do a gotcha. I'm going to try to have a genuine conversation with these guys if I get invited. Yeah, honestly, I'm hyped for the Lolcow podcast, and as soon as it comes out, I'll probably do a video or a stream going over it and just talking about what they have to say, because that content is going to be fucking fire. At least I hope it is. And if you liked this video, consider becoming a member. For $5 a month, you get access to exclusive podcasts, unreleased videos, and the members-only Minecraft server. Thanks so much to all of my YouTube members who fund my content.